been a while since I've done one of these kind of videos on YouTube. So I am back in Chicago after 2 years, and I'm doing some long exposures from this spot that I've been trying to find for about a couple years now. This is my setup. I have the SIRUI tripod, which is the T-024X. We have the Sony A9, that's the Batis, ZEISS Batis 25mm f2 with a 3-stop ND filter. I'm not doing extreme long exposures. We're kind of just wanting to get about 5 seconds or so. And I could have gone ISO 50, f22, but I want that max sharpness about f11 or so. So I'm at f10 right now. You can see my settings. So I'm in manual focus. I have my image stabilization off. You definitely want to make sure you have that turned off when you're doing this. So here we go. We're going to take that photo. Might increase the shutter speed a bit as it's only 2.5 seconds. So let's go there. And I have it on 2-second timer since I didn't want to pull out my remote. So I'll get that train trail there. Get it again. Now, I actually was hoping for 2 trains. Now, when I first got here, there were 2 trains that came out at the same time, which was pretty nice. And you see we kind of have some nice colors up there for sunset. Wasn't sure how sunset was going to be, but it turned out to be really, really nice. So that's really good. So yeah, that's about all of my settings. Let's see here. It's sideways, but you see I'm at about 4 seconds. F13, ISO 100, 2-second timer, manual focus. And I'm on auto white balance since I'm shooting in RAW, and we'll do my post-production later. So I'm gonna get through shooting this and we'll process some of these a little bit later. So we're over the Chicago River and doing some long exposures here. Now, because I'm on this moving bridge, it's somewhat bouncing, but we want to get that train that's there. You see that in the distance? We're going to see how that looks. About a 10-second exposure. And I actually have my steady shot turned back on just because the bridge sometimes vibrates with the traffic. So let's get that again. And then I'm gonna do one that's a landscape, or I'm sorry, do one that's a portrait or vertical image. Gonna get some landscape orientation right now. And see, you all can't really feel that or see that. But let's see how that came out. Pretty good. Now let's see, check for vibration. So it's slightly blurred because the bridge was moving, so we'll have to fix that. But we'll kind of correct that a little bit. I think that one might be okay. Yeah, that one's fine. So I took my filter off, and since it's getting a little later, we're about 10 seconds, F10, ISO 80, still using my 2-second timer up there because I'm still too lazy to pull out my remote. Now I even thought about bracketing. Doing maybe some HDR brackets, I'm not sure. We'll think about that as far as if I want to capture some of that or not. So we still have the same lens on. That's the ZEISS Batis 25mm f2. And we got the A9 and SIRUI tripod right there. And we're just waiting for another train. That's the tough part with long exposure, waiting. So we're gonna see how these pictures come out. But the clouds look really nice, kind of in that blue hour stage right now. So I came down a bit off the bridge because it was moving too much and I couldn't get a long enough exposure or shutter speed. And so we're doing about 30 seconds. And I kind of lowered my ISO and up my aperture a bit. And so see, we're getting that train that's coming across in these boats. So we'll take that. It'll be a long shutter speed, or a long exposure, I should say. So this is the bridge that I'm standing behind, or in front of rather. And so I'm literally at the dividing part, so I don't get the vibration, but then I have this wall here. So that's kind of why I changed the orientation to landscape, but I did knock off a few portrait oriented images as well. So my setup is still the same. I haven't done anything different, but if you look here, we'll preview that photo. That's what we got. And see, this is why I don't always shoot at nighttime unless I have clouds. So that way you kind of get a little bit of depth up there in the clouds as well. But I'll show you what my settings are. So everything is pretty much still the same, except my shutter speed is a little bit different of 30 seconds. ISO is 64. Will I pull out my remote? Probably not, but just letting you all know I do have it. But that's about it. So I'm using manual focus. So I got my focus point where I want it and then switch it to manual. So that way when I hit the shutter, it doesn't change, start hunting and change the focus on me. My white balance, now some people notice that, and I have auto white balance, but it has a custom profile. So if we go in there, you see I have this B2 M1. So the reason I do that is because I naturally like my images to come off a lot cooler. So when I do straight from the camera shots, I like them to be naturally cooler from the camera. So that's the reason why I do that. My creative style is standard, but I have my sharpness all the way up as well. Part of that is because I just like having extra sharpness. Nothing to it. So we're walking down Wacker Street, and the shot that I want is all the way down at the end here. So I got quite a ways of a walk to go. I don't think there's anything over here that I want. Because I'm also trying to think of where I can get some of the long exposures that I want, while also making sure I get updated photos for some of the locations that I've done, as some of them I have not shot in about 4 years. So I kind of need that. So now we're on this end. This is Michigan Avenue that I'm presently on. Getting this vantage point. Pretty nice. That is my frame. So we will, that's actually pretty nice. We'll go a little bit longer. Oh, the traffic stopped. And as I say that, the traffic light turns green, so we have to be quick with this, because this is a 20-second exposure. And I don't want the bridge to move. So, and it's moving, so we're kind of going to screw that shot up, but we'll probably get it once the traffic stops again.